Hi, everyone. This is Melissa Norris, a founding partner of Jamesbeck, a woman-owned business that focuses on executive search for the investment management industry. I'm super thrilled to have Michael Hoeppner here with me today, founding partner of GK Training, a communications firm.
Nice to be back.
Yep. So we're here today to talk about the three most common questions, issues I encounter as a recruiter. A couple of them seem pretty minute, not that big of a deal, but they're questions that I encounter an awful lot. The first one is around dress. What do you wear today when you're interviewing online remotely?
The hilarious thing about that question, Melissa, is you're right. It should be like the very bottom rung of concern for people. And yet people ask it all the time and it comes up a bunch. So I'll give a couple pieces of advice here. And then I also want to hear from you. In a way, the job of your wardrobe is to be as not noticeable as possible. So if you get done with the interview and the person was thinking about what you were wearing, in large part, you failed the interview. So usually when it comes to being remote, you probably want to go as like neutral, but also professional and appropriate as possible. Usually that means some sort of like relatively neutral, quite simple outfit that is about the right level calibrated for casualness or not. Oftentimes nowadays, that just means like a simple shirt or blouse or something like that. But here's the bigger point. You should also choose something that's going to make you feel very physically comfortable. And that means how you move, how you sit in it, how you hold your body in it. This all gets at the question of like, does it matter? Do aesthetics matter? And unfortunately, the answer is actually, yeah, they do. They do matter. We're visual creatures. Humans have the most expressive faces in the animal kingdom. It's a community building adaptation, most social scientists think, because if you can see quickly on someone's face, whether they're friend or foe, you can quickly build bonds and build a tribe and do stuff, important stuff. Now that's your face, but it also means this sort of like business card that I've spoken about in the past, this video block we're all in the middle of, it is in effect a visual representation of you. So when you think about wardrobe, I would even encourage people to think about what is the little 3x5 notebook card that is my video box, and what is that showing or not showing about me? If you would go to a networking event, I promise everyone would think about what they're going to wear that night, and they might even display things about themselves in very specific ways. They might have a cause band that shows people the thing that they're aligned with. They will put a lot of care and energy into that. So I'm not going to give a hard and fast rule about precisely what level of business dress, but rather to challenge people to really ask that question, because aesthetics do, on a gentle level, matter. You do this a lot, though. So what do you say, Melissa, when people ask you that question?
It's interesting because I get that question all the time today, particularly from men. Like, should I wear a suit? Should I wear a tie? What's the proper attire when I'm interviewing over Zoom? And I will say, I very rarely see people in suit and tie any longer. And to be quite honest, I don't think it's appropriate in this new day and age. I think it comes across as overkill or trying too hard, dare I say, maybe even desperation. I think it's just too much. I do think, however, it's very important you look professional. So you say you need to be comfortable in whatever you're wearing so you feel like, you can move around and operate very comfortably. That does not mean sweatshirt. That does not mean t-shirt with AC/DC written on it. That's not the appropriate way to present yourself professionally to people, because that looks like you didn't care, you didn't try, you just rolled out of bed, hair in a ponytail, hair sticking out everywhere. That's not appropriate. So what I suggest for men, at least, is a button-down shirt like you're wearing. Maybe you have a sweater over it. Maybe you have a sports coat, but I don't think you need to have a tie and a suit any longer. Even in person, I find that's less likely to be the case. And for females, it's typical blouse, shirt, sweater, whatever. And as you say, something that's not crazy that people are like, wow, look at that sparkly, glittery shirt she had on. You want it to be pretty mundane and pretty simple.
It's such a good point you make, because I feel like there's a lesson that people have drawn from remote communication that is the wrong lesson to draw, which is like, it doesn't matter. I can just like roll in my hoodie and like do my thing. And like everyone's at home, we all get it. And we're all like, eating our lunch at the same time. And that's the lesson. I don't actually think it is a lesson. I think the lesson about being unfiltered, about having a level of transparency of what's happening that we have learned from remote communication that is good, is to show people that you have a real life with real people that you care about. You have other demands on your time, but you can also still be in communication. The lesson is not, I can show up in my pajamas with my hair all messy and food all over the place, and that's okay, because It's not. It doesn't really show respect to the person you're talking to.
I agree with that. The other thing I will highlight is it's really important to make sure your lighting is correct as well, because I interview a lot of people who are completely in the black. When you're in the black or you're super dark, it's very hard to get facial expression, intonation. You just can't read what the person's all about. And oftentimes I can be led to the conclusion that they're very shy, or they're not commanding, or they don't have executive presence because you can't even see their face. So all those things are very important, although they seem pretty, lower on the bottom of the priority list. They do resonate, and it's very important to get it right.
Yeah, aesthetics matter.
Yeah. The other thing I wanted to ask you about, and I'll be very clear, I know we have covered this in the past. And again, you guys can go back to the jamesbeck.com website and look at the previous webinars that Michael and I have done together. And we do talk about tech glitches. I just think we should cover it one more time, because I do experience this a lot where people get frustrated. They don't know how to handle a situation if the sound's not working, or they get frozen for a period of time. At what point do they say, hey, let's move this to a phone call versus a video because my internet's going down? How best should one handle those situations, Michael?
We often teach 3 F's, and we contrast it to the 3 F's you might think of for when things go wrong, which is fight, flight, or freeze. You have the adrenaline reaction. Oh my gosh, something's bad is happening. I've got to do something. But you can't fly because you can't leave the Zoom call, as tempting as it is. You can't fight the person. They're not there. So what do humans do? They freeze. Instead of those 3 F's, we teach people instead to fake it, feature it, or fix it. Fake it. If no one knows, just keep going. But if you can't keep going, then you can either fix it transparently, call attention to it, and actually deal with it, or you feature it and you make it a good thing. So fix it means you just deal with the tech. Feature it means you deal with the tech and you make a joke about it, or you point out some learned lesson from that. The other part about featuring it is this, folks: do not be afraid to pull the ripcord quickly. And that is even if you're the interviewee. Say, listen, I'm just getting too much glitching. I'm going to log off right now, come back on, hopefully it's better. And if it's not, can I call you and we'll have a phone conversation? Because I want to respect your time as much as possible.
That's
now, you
perfect.
tell me.
That's so perfect.
Because the person understands it's not your fault that technology is bad. It would be your fault, though, if you waste their time, give a bunch of bad answers, get completely nervous, and let the entire tech experience derail you.
The last thing I want to cover is I get a number of individuals out there in the market asking me, should I be out there just lifting my head up and looking around? There's so much activity. It is literally the most frothy recruiting market I have seen in my career, and I have a 20+ year career. There's so much activity, so many people in motion. It's kind of unbelievable. And I have a number of people asking me, should I just be lifting my head up and looking around? I want to provide some advice to people out there in the market. I feel like with the opportunity to interview over Zoom, which is super easy to do, you don't have to leave your house. You don't have to risk, outing yourself and your confidentiality of looking somewhere else. It's less time constraint. It's a very easy way to kind of put yourself out there. I would really encourage people to be absolutely certain they're interested in making a move, because I do find there's some people out there who are using this opportunity as a fishing exercise to just see what's out there, to meet other people, but they're really not serious about a new role at this new organization. And what can happen is you can burn bridges with the recruiter, with the company, if you're really not seriously intent upon leaving your current engagement and going somewhere else. As easy as it is to Zoom and to interview from your home, only do it if you're really serious about it.
I couldn't agree with that more. And even for just a more foundational principle is think of how many folks you talk to, yourself included, in your own head, that complain about how busy we all are.
Well, thank you so much, Michael. I look forward to the next time we connect.
It's my pleasure. See you. Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye.